You are now sitting at the Wavetable.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 17 of the Wavetable. This episode is featuring Into Ash, who I actually found out lives in the same suburb as I do, which is pretty cool.
That was interesting.
How are you doing today, dude?
Mighty fine. I mean, I just came back from work, so got all the blood flowing, so hopefully it's going to help me out.
I feel like it's nice when you get home and like there's blood flowing and you can just kind of like put all that into production.
Push through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you get shit knocked out really quick.
Yeah, I feel like if it's a day you wake up and it's just production, like it can blow out really quick.
Yeah.
If you've got a schedules are really powerful things. It just sets you in the mood for doing things during set times, you know, when to do stuff, I guess.
Yeah. So, I've hung out with you in Discord a bit, but we haven't really had a full-on deep chat or anything. So I kind of wanted to get an idea of like how you first got into music production and just like the whole journey up until where you're at now.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It goes really, really far back. I'd say probably like primary school. I guess that's when music started in primary school. Production more so, I'd say around my first year of high school, probably year 7. So I was 13 then.
Cool.
So production-wise, I guess throughout all primary school, I was doing music lessons within my school. They basically offered it as this side program every few lessons. It always happened during maths, which I was proud of. I was taken to go learn instruments. It was pretty much just like a circle. You swapped around an instrument, you learned that like 1 week and, you know, the next.
That's really cool.
Moving on to the production side of things though, during my first year of high school, which was 7 years ago, 2014. So I guess that was probably one of the golden ages of dubstep, which is my primary genre. But I was big on Minecraft, and that was when its biggest player base was ever prevalent, I'd say. And I used to watch Minecraft Universe, who I guess is dead now on YouTube. But out of nowhere, he released a song, and it was Minecraft Universe Eclipse. That was the name of the song. And for someone like a Let's Player to be releasing full-fledged music, I was quite surprised. And it was like a really 2014-ish dubstep tune. And I was so like intrigued by this. Like, geez, he doesn't even make music, and he just punched this out. And in the comments, or like I guess the description of that video, I'm like, what? Like, who? Like, how? And the comments said made on Fruity Loops, and from that, the next day I pirated it and I started to get to work, and it was a slow path. So I started like as most people do, samples and stuff, and I'd say I was the only person that did production in my school. There's a lot of instrumentalists in high school. So I guess that's when you really get the choice later on to choose it as an elective and carry through with learning like the more in-depth industry standards and stuff. But for production, I was really like stuck in this bubble of, I guess, I wasn't very social. Like I didn't have social media at the start of high school during those early years. And I just started with messing around with samples, you know, downloading sample packs here and there, trying to find free ones and stuff. And I slowly learned my way through VSTs, like all plugins and stuff for maybe like 5 years until I'd say year 11. So I was 15 in year 11. No, that doesn't add up. Yeah, 15 year 11. God, it's turned into a maths chat. With slowly progressing, I then found like, while being online, I guess, more of a community, a database, chatting with people, and I slowly learned more techniques. That was probably the biggest upbringing of tutorial channels as well in those years. People like Rock and Powered Sound, which I don't really hate on because for beginners, getting information from a tutorial or at least from anyone, whether you're copying it straight from the books, you're still learning, and that's when you can apply that knowledge to other things. And I think people should take no shame in using samples or plugins or presets and stuff if you're learning. I guess if you outright just use a sample in a track and you don't learn from it or change it, that's where it gets a bit iffy. But there's a big I'd say taboo on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from that point, it started I guess just gathering like knowledge on how to use my DAW properly, because I've been using Fruity Loops ever since then, so for about 7-8 years now. And yeah, just ever so slowly through 11 and 12, probably one of my biggest helps, I guess, not idols, my biggest motivation was my music teacher through year 11 and 12. And he was a classic jazz bassist, I guess that's the word. And yeah, he was all in for like weird and wacky stuff. He was like, hippie to the max.
So
his attitude to certain things, I would show him the craziest dubstep I could, and he would froth it.
Yeah.
And I guess, from his style of jazz is, I'd say, where my main strong points come from, because I would say I'm a self-proclaimed purveyor and advocate for thinking outside of the box. From him, I was introduced to weird time signatures, unconventional ones. And using those in like my music, it's become one of the most prevalent things. And I really push like what I'd want to be known as is someone that pushes for those things to become normalized, really.
Sick. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed in Bop that you kind of draw people in with like the vocal sample, which is more of like a surface level bass music kind of thing. But then later in the track, it's just like bleepy and bloopy. I'm just like, holy shit, man. This is like such a good way to draw people in and show them like the alternate side of things.
Yeah, that track was it was really new to me for that sort of style, because even that's a far cry from what I normally make. It came up from watching one of my favorite artists. I was watching his stream, Killfeed. And from there, I learned some pretty interesting techniques. And again, learning from something and taking it and applying it in your own way. From that, I created something influenced by his style. And yeah, that track, again, it's he focuses on more of a rhythmic style and syncopation, I guess, putting things in places, just like even if it's just a short one shot. And yes, again, taking that and reapplying it into that track. It's got, the vocals at the start to give it, I guess, a structure, like it's a bop, it hits on the beat. And then, I was able to use that into the drop. So like and then from there, the flow carries on.
Yeah. And like you said, there's not much, shouldn't be any shame at all really in learning from channels such as Rocket Powered Sound, because I saw people hating on him the other day, and I was like, like I can understand if you're at the point where everything he says is just like common knowledge to you, but as someone who learned a lot of my knowledge from him, it did really help a lot. Like, yes, it was just like, copy this, do this, 37 on FM from B, 27 on the Wavetable. But I did like just the repetition of watching all of his videos and recreating the patches really did help me to learn how to make sounds in Serum.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things people could rip into on Shane, specifically what he does outside of music.
What does he do?
Not safe for work. Cut that. Apart from Shane Gregory, Rocket Powered Sound. Let's just put Shane to one side. I don't want to rip on him. That's not what this video is about. Yeah, like, as two dudes can agree, like, it's where you learn.
Yeah.
You can't say that that's not teaching people. It's pretentious. It's pretentious as all hell. But this sounds exactly like... Oh, God, I'm ripping into him. Conversation done.
Excellent Sounds is also another really good one that pretty much does the same stuff. They go a lot more in depth though. And I feel like if you're ripping on Rocket Powered Sound, Excellent Sounds, and those kind of tutorials that just if they're tutorials that help beginners, then you're kind of being a gatekeeper by ripping on them.
Yes. Yeah,
so please stop. Stop right now.
Stop right there. You're violating the law.
So yeah, let's go back to Bob. I really thought that this track was like up there in terms of production. Like, I could not find a single fault on it. Like, I really liked your release on Syndicate Kinship Volume 2 as well, but I felt there was just like some kind of improvement between there. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but something went from like getting there to professional, you know?
Yeah, I think the one thing I have been so focused on besides sound design in the past months is clarity.
Right.
Mixing and mastering, it's something that I have never done. Before the past few months, I would never master a song. I would never gain stage a song, or like the tracks. I would never compress. I've never used a compressor at all within the past few months. Soft clipping, not at all. So one of the biggest things that I have just tried so hard to just push through and learn is definitely mastering, which is so important because I have heard such great praise from the people in my like circle, as well as people online, artists doing feedback streams. It is like the smoking gun being like top notch. Because it's like between it was Kin and Bop. So Kin, I struggled a lot. There was a dip in the high frequencies. There was a lot of stereo width that shouldn't have been there.
Right.
Going to something like Bop, there is a lot of thin noises like the zaps, which they are actually in mono compared to the stereo bass, just to obviously not interfere with each other.
Yeah.
While occupying the same frequencies, they are occupying a different spatial area. But again, it was, the biggest gap because you can definitely tell between those two pieces. I've spent all that time between those two, not on sound design, but on improving my mixes clarity.
That's actually a really good thing that you just mentioned, because a lot of people will say you can't stack things on top of each other if they have the same frequency range. But if one of them's wide and one of them's mono, they can actually complement each other really well.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people miss out on. They might go all stereo or just not know what they're doing and being all mono. Which, it's a strong thing to place things spatially in your mix. Complementing, whether they're in the same frequency range, complementing what's in the middle and what's wide, or you could have the same sound filling all of that space.
And if you do have the same sound filling all of that space, sometimes it's nice to duplicate it, have one mono version and then one slightly different stereo version.
Yeah.
So in terms of mastering, I know that like so many people do the whole like, this is my mastering chain thing. And then everyone downloads it and they're like, oh, it's not really working for me. In terms of mastering, are there any kind of just general tips that you would like to provide?
Yeah, so I'd like to touch on like the thing where people say, oh, the mastering chain doesn't work for me before going into my process. Like there's a big assumption about that there's just one way to do mastering and you've got it. It's like your tracks are going to punch. They're going to be clear. It isn't. Mastering's a different process for every single track, and I've found that you can't just have a surefire way of getting from 1 to 100. And that's why, moving on to mixes, it's you have to have your track correct for it to work in the master, which takes, I'm going to go a step back even to stereo imaging. If your stereo is not correct, doing it in mastering, you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
You really have to have yourself set from the beginning to the end before heading into the final stage.
Exactly.
And And moving on to, like my certain things. So something I was never doing, again, like I've never mastered really in tracks before. The first step I really took to cleaning the mixes was high and low cuts. Something so simple that I've never done. Like low cutting where the lowest bass note is. Some may think that's a sin because there's obviously going to be rumbles and stuff below that. But generally in my music, I can see on my like EQ spectrum that I'm not touching anything below that. So I usually high cut at my lowest fundamental of the track. And then with the high pass, this was something I took from, I was given like the recommendation of using a reference track, which again, something I've never done. So I dropped reference tracks in and I could see on the EQ track around 16 kilohertz and above was pretty much null. It was non-existent.
Oh, really?
So on most tracks I was checking. So I would add a high shelf, but actually drop it all the way down, give it a few dBs.
Yeah.
So in my spectrograph, actually I have to reverse this for the camera. So in the high end, there was then a dip and a small shelf at the bottom of high end noise around the 16 to 20 kilohertz range. So it was just cutting that down. It was still prevalent in the mix, but it was dropping the high end a lot. And I actually found that brought a lot more clarity to the mix.
That's interesting. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Because if you, like, I was like, my understanding behind it is I was dropping in reference tracks and I was seeing it consistently through many of them. So I just followed that, and my ears are untrained as they can be, but I could definitely hear it working for at least my style of music. But down the train, I've learned to put things like multiband compressors on the master bus. I've been using OTT just very lightly though.
Yeah.
The upwards and downwards are pushed back to about 40 on both of them, and the times at full. All these bits and bobs numbers that probably mean nothing to many people. But,
full as in all the way to the right or all the way to the left?
All the way one way. To obviously make it not sound like OTT, but be that little crunch of multiband compression. Yeah. And then usually to top it off, just like a soft clipper, just to like stop it at a certain point, act as a limiter.
Yeah, I actually found out that soft clipping doesn't actually prevent stuff from clipping in the analog domain. Like, it'll look like it's not going above 0 on Ableton, but in Isotope Insight, it's peaking at like 1.6 dB. It's like really weird. So recently I've had to start putting a true peak limiter after a soft clipping.
Yeah, just check it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, do you ever put like a little bit of reverb on the master?
Can't say I've ever done that, to be honest. No. Unless I'm doing something in the actual master to create a song. So obviously, you've got, I guess, different stylistic approaches. If it was something like a lo-fi track, definitely afterwards I would add some sort of reverb to the entire track. Obviously low cut to not thud, muddy up the low end. But definitely on like, if it was something stylistically different like lo-fi, I didn't have to think consciously about things getting messed up. It would definitely have reverb or something on it. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about in mastering before we go on to some different stuff?
That's pretty much all that comes to me. Cool. I'm an open book, and I've just read every page.
I was going to ask about how you went about creating your bleepy, glitchy stuff in Bop.
Yeah. So that's a story. In Bop, that sort of came from resampling a sound. So pretty much I came about stretching it very as wide as I could until I could see the actual changes in frequencies. So it was like almost a square modulation, it looks like. And with that then being in those, you can actually see the waveform going up and down, peaking in certain frequencies. I was then taking that and then adding a effects rack on top. Obviously, it just boosts certain things. I've never used frequency shifters before, but that was actually my first instance where I did use frequency shifting, just to achieve a different tone rather than transposing it. You're actually shifting the frequencies around. Yeah. But it came from resampling.
Cool. Yeah, I love how frequency shifters and pitch shifters and stuff kind of just with certain tweaks, like if you're using the kilohertz one, there's like the grain size and jitter and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just makes shit sound like so alien or robotic. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So continuing on the kind of sound design stuff, I know that they're quite simple in essence. And Mansa showed me a good technique the other day, but I can't for the life of me remember exactly what he showed me. So in regards to white noise basses, I was wondering kind of what's your technique for that?
Yeah, so there was I have a go-to preset for like sub fuzz. That's what I usually like refer to it as. And it's a fundamental sub and 2 overtones and a white noise oscillator, and this is all within Serum. So with those 3 playing at their own volumes, usually the fundamental, the loudest, and the overtones a bit quieter.
Yeah.
I then just have a tube distortion on top and a compressor with the gain all the way up. And what that does is it just creates a nice fuzz. And then post-processing wise, I take out the sub because I don't want that interfering with my actual sub. However, I can't achieve that noise without the sub in the first place. So it's all a matter of post-processing that for me, but I basically go through getting a sub and distorting it, adding an OTT to bring through the top end of the fuzz, and then low cut it.
Cool. Yeah, see, it's so simple, but like it's just like kind of the order in which you do things. And I think the whole the sub thing to really bring out that just fucked up sound is so essential, because you would never think to put a sub in a sound and then completely remove the sub. You know, like when you're going for a distorted, fucked up sound, you're like, okay, I just need to add distortion, compression, and fucking crank the gain way up on everything.
Yeah, there's this mindset that like you have one sound and from there you can change it into, I really don't know how to convey it, but there are things that aren't seen on the surface. It's like an iceberg. There are sounds that are prevalent underneath all this bashing through VSTs. But yeah, you really have to experiment with them in the first place. And, you know, if you've got a whole effects bus on and off button, change stuff in your bass patch and then change the effects rather than trying to make your noise after all of this crap. You're trying to change it through so many things. One click in your Serum with all of those, then processing that one change, it can be so drastic, and you wouldn't think of it in the first place.
Yeah.
Really.
You can literally make a whole sample pack out of just a post-processing rack and then changing one knob in Serum.
Oh, yeah. 20 OTTs.
Have you seen that thing how like OTTs aren't actually silent when they're turned off? Like if you stack up enough OTTs, they actually make noise. So fucking weird.
It annoys me. I know on Ableton, because I use both Fruity Loops and Ableton, but I'm primarily on Fruity Loops. But yeah, in Ableton, I find that there's a lot less noise from OTTs. I could stack them up really high. But Fruity Loops, I feel like because it's an external VST, it's not an internally structured plugin. Yeah, it gains noise very quickly. The max I can have in Fruity Loops before I begin to hear ambience is about 4.
That's fucking
horrible.
Annoying.
Yeah, very.
I think there's like a phase or multi-pass preset that pretty much does the same thing as OTT. So if you have multi-pass, that might be an interesting thing to look into.
Yeah, to try into that, yeah.
So I think the first time I actually ever heard your music was on Kinship Volume 2, because that's around the same time as I started the podcast.
Oh.
And I recently found out that you're actually on the A&R team for Syndicate, right?
Yes, yeah.
So that's fucking awesome, dude. Like, first of all, it's...
Yeah.
I really respect people that, like, are kind of tastemakers in a sense and, you know, kind of get to choose what to show people.
Yeah.
because knowing you, I know you're not going to choose like generic shit. You're going to,
yeah, I'm going to really look for something special in what gets picked. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us what kind of stuff goes on behind the scenes in regards to A&R? Because pretty much all I know is that you look at emails and then you're like, oh yeah, this looks cool. Like, this isn't so cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, the others within the A&R team could probably tell you now that I'm slacking off quite badly. There's a lot of things on my palette at the moment, but yeah, so what is involved with the A&R in terms of syndicate, it's a lot of communication involved with both the artists and the team. So when people do send us an email, there's usually like 3 outcomes. It is there's a definite don't like, it's not for us. We usually will give constructive criticism. Then there is bang on the money. This is something that we need. This person's gone places and we'd like to be the people to get them there. And then there is this sort of middle ground of, it's good music, but it's just not at that, level that we'd go for, that we'd accept. And with those artists, we don't want to turn people away. Being a part of a label, it is working with the people around you, because if you just shun everyone away and only pick the top stuff, I think there's a two-way effect for it. You're only selecting such a small amount of music, but you're also giving this perception for people that are sending music that it's just not good enough if you say nothing. Yeah. And that's why, with a lot of it, the communication aspect is we give a lot of feedback, and it may be back and forth for 10 emails. They send a version, we give constructive criticism, and it gets sent back. It's until we really work out, like, this is, you can prove to us that you can go from what you gave us into something that's top notch. Yeah, then we're more than willing to sort of accept it onto the label.
That's really cool. I've never actually heard about a label that goes back and forth with feedback until they kind of get it right, kind of thing. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's pretty much just all binary. I'm wondering now if there's many other labels out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Hamish has talked a little bit about this, and that's something I think about as well. Hamish, I'm not going to say who I was talking with, but Hamish Dreer. He was in contact with a label, and there's a lot of back and forth again with feedback, but it can get to a point where the label says, we just don't really like it, and you've been through all this work for nothing. So there is that one conscious thought usually that when we're going through these changes with artists, is it going to get to a point where, there's something new now and that's just not good enough? But we really try to push them to the point that it is, that we can do it quickly, like turn around on stuff and really get their brains thinking,
Yeah, I guess it would really suck to make all these changes for a specific label, and then it kind of reminds me of how there's like, it's not so much a thing anymore, but there used to be all these bands that would sign to labels and that would completely change their sounds.
That's probably what happened with one of my favorite artists, Ulasil. We can touch on that later if you have a question about influences.
Oh, we can go into that now if you want.
Yeah. I'd say with influences, Ulasil was probably like the biggest out of all of them. There was some tracks with like crazy syncopation, like Spacesuit, which actually goes on, it's like a half beat off the original song. So you got like chorus and build up, and then the actual drops a half beat off. And that was like, that clicked really great for me. But his tastes changed, and mine, I was still stuck on his older stuff. And that really, I really sort of lost what I was looking for in him, with his music. Yeah. Otherwise, I've sort of picked up my other two influences, who were Dr. Ozzy and Killfeed. Both for their rhythm, I'd say. Dr. Ozzy's never really on a 4/4. There's always like, some off syncopation here and there to like a rhythm, whether it's like a Latin almost beat. Same as Kill Feed. He's just got a certain tack for doing like the flow of a song with stabs here and there. Yeah.
Sorry. Rhythm is huge. Like, there's so many tracks I hear that literally have the same exact rhythm, and it's like, I've heard this track before.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking of Ulasil, I really like the future rhythm kind of movement that he's pushing. I'm actually kind of surprised that I like it, because I never saw myself as one who liked melodic dubstep, but I feel like future rhythm is like it's like melodic dubstep is kind of really clean, and future rhythm has this like really dirty vibe to it. Like, everything's kind of blown out. I love it. Yeah,
it's got a smeared vibe to it, especially with like songs that focus on a vocoder. I feel like there's definitely like a smeared but almost astral feel to it.
Yeah. It would definitely suit my name really well if I started making future
if you're into that,
So is there anything else you want to talk about in regards of influences? Like, who was it that first got you into production?
I mean, I could say, I could really say Minecraft Universe from that one video many years back, but I would go with classic Virtual Riot.
Oh, hell
probably the biggest inspiration to many. Like, my tastes have moved on from what his sort of music was and is, but there's nothing like listening to his first few tracks, and also watching the classic studio time with Virtual Riot videos. There's nothing that beats watching those, and just being inspired from that, like, as such a new producer,
and like the 10-minute drop videos and stuff.
Yes. They were a big push for me to then try that. I feel like everyone, after watching that video, they went onto their door, opened it up, and they're like, I'm going to do something in 10 minutes. You know what? Yeah. Me.
So kind of jumping back to Syndicate for a second. When I was talking to Manifex, he said that when he's DJing, it kind of skews his production a little bit, because he hears the same kind of tracks whenever he's DJing, that when he goes into his door, he wants to make something completely different. Does being on an A&R team kind of do the same thing for you with listening to demos and such?
No, I would say it almost does the opposite. I feel like listening to what new up-and-comers have to show us, it makes me inspired, because they're fresh on the scene. They've got a new face to the game, and they almost I feel like it does the opposite for me. I hear new stuff it's private, it's for the label. That sort of inspires me to sort of take on doing something new as well. Really
cool. Have you ever been like directly inspired by a demo track?
No, I wouldn't say so. Not in particular. Nah.
Just covering your ass.
There are a few that would not inspire me. If I could say that. Yeah.
So you've also been doing the 30-day challenge recently, as well as myself, Drea, Scribe, and I know what Vital Mode is going to start at some point after he finishes uni, I believe.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to hear his take.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering if he's going to go down like the deeper, darker route at all, because you've started doing kind of some more melodic stuff, or some drum and bass, some cyberpunk stuff.
A lot of drum and bass, yeah.
So, yeah, I know you had to pause it for a bit because of like getting a new PC. Yeah. But how do you feel like doing the 30-day challenge has been for you so far?
I think I'm not really able to grasp the extent of how it's like changed me over 12 days, because I got to 12 days before getting my new PC, building it up, and I just felt away from home really on it, having to set up all samples and stuff. But from what I could gather within those 12 days, it really pushed me, even after the first few, it pushed me into a space that I wasn't like normally producing, I went straight from bleepy stuff into a lot more melodic and vocal based music.
Yeah,
more choppy. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see where else you go with it, because it's just so cool, like seeing people experiment with all this different stuff. But then not only do they experiment, they have like 30 tracks that they can then flesh out and release, like, what is that? Like, it's like 6-7 EPs or something if they want to. Yeah. If all the tracks are good enough.
I think the thing I'm most excited for is at the end of it doing a big mix of it all, as well as chucking in a showcase. Do like pretty much 50 minutes. Yeah.
Maybe we should all get together and do like a compilation album or something.
Yeah, just like all the 30-day challenges in one.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It basically just show let me find the right word for it. Just show the decreasing mental state of everyone. If that's one way to put it. Just a descent into madness, and then you get brought up every 30 minutes. If we just do like 1 minute for every track, yeah.
Oh, God.
30-minute journey through hell.
So, given that you've tried out like a bunch of different genres within the 12 days so far, this might be a tough question, but if you had to stop making dubstep, what genre do you think would replace it?
That's a very good question. I'm going to have to think for like at least 5 seconds. I reckon Complextro, but
hell yeah.
Influenced like not on dubstep synthesis with growls or heavy stuff. I feel like more in the timbre of it. So carrying over stronger elements, but in no way growls or the bleeps that I manufacture. I feel like it'd have a strong emphasis on the drums, but I definitely feel like slower 4 on the floor stuff would definitely be my forte. Yeah.
I really love some good like 90 to 110 BPM walking pace stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking love that shit.
Gets you going.
Yeah. So this whole time I've been like looking at that desk behind you.
Yes.
And wishing I had one. I wanted to ask, did you make that yourself? Because it looks like it might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, it was made myself. Pretty much $40 Gumtree. Like, this was a very fun thing to do because before this, I had a wooden trestle table. That was it. And yeah, this behind me was pretty much just the love child of me being bored during quarantine. And so I scoured Gumtree for $40. For $40, I found a perfect table who actually happened to belong to a musician. And I told him what I was using it for. Like, I want to use, like, I would need a big table to fit big speakers on and a big TV. And he's like, yeah, man, all for it. And then pretty much I looked at, scoured a plethora of images just on like studio desks, and I ended up on just doing like, that sort of curved in like a slanted design that I have right here.
Oh yeah, that looks fucking sick, man. Nice, I reckon like, I don't know how much you like building stuff, but I reckon you could make like a business off building desks for musicians and stuff.
If I had the tools and the time, if I wasn't preoccupied with a billion other hobbies, it would, yeah. Because there's definitely a good market for that. There are people interested. But I want to almost take this to another point. And that's like, you don't need gear to be good.
Yeah.
Now, I definitely don't have top of the top stuff, but people will look at what I have because I definitely post like drool-worthy images online because I've got RGB lights in here and such. But yeah, there's a big sort of again, I can't find the right word for it.
Setup envy?
No, assumption. There's this assumption that you need high-end gear.
Right.
When you really don't. I have a lot of aesthetically pleasing gear, but a lot of my stuff is, still lower, mid to low and stuff. And I honestly sometimes I don't feel like posting stuff online because I feel like it's really depreciating, or at least demotivating to people that look at something like this. Even though I handcrafted this for like $100, there are a lot of people that look at it and think, I don't have that. All I have is a laptop. But that's all you need. AKVMA, who is an amazing up-and-coming producer, as well as Dr. Lobster, she is killing it and she's going to skyrocket. They're both American producers, but they're working on minimal gear and their stuff is tenfold what I'm doing. And definitely for a lot of the other people around in our friend group, I'm not sure on many people's setups since I haven't met many people, or at least gone to their rooms. Mansa, he again works only on a laptop. He doesn't have studio monitors, I don't believe, or like a space where he can really feel the sound. He's really in his ears, like many people around. Yeah. And that, like, there's a big assumption and I guess agenda that you need all this gear when, 90% of my stuff's just for having the, like, a nice feel in this room, like, aesthetically. You don't. Yeah.
There's definitely something to be said, though, for setting the atmosphere. Because, like, it's easy to get, like, stuck in the box and cabin fever and stuff. Whereas if you have, like, a really nice looking room and RGB lights and stuff, it's like EDM time.
I was just trying to find my phone so I could change the lights and just show you the atmosphere. But
and speaking of AKVMA, did you see that that pan snare sample pack that she put out? Not only, I think she's had like hundreds of people buy it, but like fucking Virtual Riot followed her from it.
Yeah,
it's fucking insane.
Riot, as well as company, she recently messaged him on Twitter, and now they've gotten talking. As well as Nazar, who is new to NSD. He's been featured with Sultan. He's I feel like Sultan and him have really worked off each other and found their way into it. He's also very recently, started supporting her.
Yeah, I saw his tweet like just before this.
Yes.
It's pretty much like, what the fuck, AKVMA is amazing, go follow her.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I'd really like to emphasize them, as well as pretty much everyone in my friend group. There are so many people coming up,
So, this is kind of the last main point that I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
Which is the Wubhouse.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, do you want to just take us through what the Wubhouse is all about and kind of if there's any plans for after lockdown is over, what's going to be going on?
Most definitely, yeah. So the Wubhouse, I'm going to use the love child term again, pretty much with Melbourne, it's got a very limited scene. We were having shows maybe every month to 2 months, and that's one show. You look at places like New South Wales with Chinese Laundry, they're having rhythm nights like consistently every weekend, pretty much. And most other states, Perth has a massive scene. And, we're very lacking here. We weren't lacking in people, though. I think we were lacking in infrastructure for the scene. So I have, with my partner, her mother owns a warehouse, or at least 2 warehouses, and the back one was usually only used for storage. So through Corbin, because I knew Corbin had experience for running Mothership, which he ran those nights at Brown Alley, and we pretty much got together and we threw my birthday there as a start. I had like 2 PA speakers, blown them out and stuff, overdriving them for everyone. Everyone had a blast of a time. And that was when we saw everyone, we saw the space because it's got a kitchen, it's got a lounge, it's got like a green room, it's got a stage area. Like that night, it just sort of like, for me at least, I could see it being something more. And then we sort of stepped up in our materials. We bought new lights, new speakers. We pretty much did the place up aesthetically. We got DMXing so we could run the lights through them, like the music and controller off a controller.
Hell yeah.
And it, like that also went incredibly well. it's just now at a point of actually legitimizing Wubhouse. And what we want this to be is not a nightclub. This is pretty much, it's a music venue for bringing the scene to like where it should be. Just to have consistency and honestly just have a place where you can enjoy bass music, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so more like I feel like it's going to be more like a community rather than a place where you just go get sloshed and fucking.
Yeah, I don't want just MDMA heads and shit going there to get a root. Like, this is, I'd like to say for the boys, but it's almost for the people. Because it's not just the producers in the main circle or the DJs in the main circle. There are everyday people who love dubstep, but where do they go on a weekend? Do they go to a house club or an R&B club?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just this missing link, whereas everywhere else has it. You're not going to drive to New South Wales or to Perth every weekend. So it's almost a necessity for us to have to get to the next step, really. And that's why we've put our foot down. Two people in the game just sitting down and, you know, it was a pretty unrealistic approach at the start. We thought we were just going to be having like underground raves. And every step we've taken into looking into AKVMA, liquor licensing, all these sort of different approaches and things, we've realized each step of the way that it's become more and more possible. Looking at each problem, but then with each problem seeing a probability.
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of life philosophy as well. You see all these things that they just seem to exist because they should exist. And it almost seems like there's a disconnect between the consumer and the thing, where the consumer doesn't know how the thing possibly happens or how it comes to exist. Whereas like you guys are doing, you guys are actually taking the steps, looking into it, AKVMA, liquor licensing, all this shit. Whereas I feel like a lot of people are just like, okay, I can't do that because I'm not a fucking millionaire or something like.
Yeah.
And kind of going along those lines, on making it like an official thing. I talked to Corbin about this yesterday, and I don't know if he brought it up with you, but there's like the whole Melbourne Arts Grants thing going on at the moment.
Ooh,
I don't know how that applies to venues and such, but I feel like it could help you guys, so it's probably worth looking into that at least.
Yeah, that's another thing. There's a lot of creative things that do happen with like grants. There's one I applied to earlier this year, which is more for producers and sound engineers. I didn't get through, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a lot of things that people don't look at in terms of the government. There's like a lot of creative help here and there for whether it be businesses or personal projects. Whether it's a function at your local library, a lot of those happen, like DJ ones where they bring in someone who is a bit more popular, and you can learn in little community things. Whether you think it's cringe and there's 12-year-olds there trying to learn DJing, you're still going to learn from it. And there's a lot of things that go on, like grants as such. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who's listening who lives in like the inner suburbs of Melbourne, definitely look into the arts grants. I looked into it yesterday, but unfortunately I'm quite far outside of the radius that they provide to. But I don't know where the Wubhouse is exactly, but it might be inside the radius, so we'll see. Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Odds-along Road.
Okay, well, fuck that grant off then.
Yeah.
But but at least there's going to be something local to me.
That's also something I'd like to touch on, because we don't know if this opportunity is going to last forever. Because I am technically like subleasing from a partner's mum. In terms of location, there's all these complications because we're pretty much subleasing. Even if this doesn't happen, going back to how it's a necessity, we've learned so many things in how to like operate such a business that a venue is such a small thing to us. That's not that big of a problem. So whether this fails, we're going to pretty much come back twice as hard because we'll know what we're looking for. And pretty much, yeah, you can expect the bass scene to skyrocket.
Hell yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, to put it in production terms, it's like you guys have learnt the production knowledge and you've got a laptop. Yeah. And now it doesn't matter where you're sitting. You can still use your laptop.
Exactly.
That's fucking great. I love it. Okay, so let's wrap this up with one final question. And you might have heard it before, but I want to hear your one tip if you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing in regards to producing. What would it be?
This was the one question I feared the most. Because there's so little I would tell myself. I honestly feel so grateful for the journey I've had. I would have told myself, as much as I praised it earlier, I would have said get off sample packs and stuff. I feel like I should have developed my own sound a lot earlier, listened to a lot more influences, really, as well as how I am now, like I said, self-proclaimed purveyor and of just thinking outside of the box. I was stuck inside the box for so long. And that's why I want to really advocate to people trying to produce now. It is stop thinking about rules as generic as it sounds. There is such a stigma. That's the word I've been trying to find for like every instance. There's such a stigma around using unconventional time signatures, especially since Polyrhythm was released. Now everyone thinks you're trying to copy that song, but it exists. It's not this nuance in the void. It is something that exists and people don't use it. Changing time signatures, changing tempo, changing genres. That is what I would tell myself. I would tell myself to do everything that isn't being done.
Yeah. And we were watching Muhammed last night producing a track that's in like the key of A.
Yeah,
and he was like, oh, maybe I should just, pitch up the intro and then make a different drop that's in a different key.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, A doesn't hit the hardest, but it still sounds great, like, it doesn't fucking matter, dude.
Yeah. Even dissonance, like you said, just have the drop in a different key. That's something that isn't also done. People can tell you that that's so wrong, but if it's with intention, it doesn't need to sound right. Dissonance exists for a reason.
If you do something with intention and someone tells you it's wrong, then you can just be like, this dude doesn't know.
Unless you are clearly insane and have 100% wet reverb on your on your bass and stuff. There is a clear line, and I will quarantine for another 6 weeks away from any person that does that. But there are certain things that you shouldn't be restricted on, and there are not enough people doing those things.
And if it means like if you change a time signature and it's not like as headbangable, then so be it.
Yeah,
you can still make a great track even if you can't really headbang to it. Like
do you think I made Lurid Loser? Shout out to that track that has like 3 time signature changes and 3 tempo changes to be played out? No, it's to be experienced. Nothing needs to be played out. And that's, again, the thought that you have to make music for crowds when everyone says, and this is absolutely true, make music for yourself.
There will always be enough music to play out for crowds.
Yeah, there's always enough rhythm. All right, kids?
Yep. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, dude. It was a pleasure to finally have you on.
Yeah.
So, go ahead and check out Into Ash. There'll be a link in the description to his socials and music and all that good stuff. Yeah. Thanks again for joining me, dude.
Thank you all for listening, and cheers. Thank you, Ben.
Later.
Yeah.